I want to talk about one of the biggest reasons why you might not be clearing jumps, and that is perception versus reality. Yo, what is up? Welcome back. Either way, thanks so much for making it this far. I want to talk about one of the biggest bullshit that you experience in your everyday life, and that is yourself. And no, you're not doing it intentionally. It's just how your perception might be different than the reality. Hey-ya! Paul Bunyan. So I'm at a purposeful location to show this example, and that is because this jump is very hard to clear if your timing and everything involved in your extension and your pop is not, nearly perfect. Why? Because we come in up here and we're coming in through slow, chunky stuff, and then we have a berm right here, which is a great berm, a well-built berm, but it's a little bit more than 90 degrees. So we come out of this berm and we lose a lot of speed, even when we pump out of it. So sometimes I got to do a couple cranks right here because this bad boy is long, right? The beauty in it, it's got a massive case pad. So let's see what the actual distance is here. So we're going to take off right about here. We added a point. Draw. So why is that important for me to mention? Because I need to ensure that my timing and everything is, proper to actually clear this thing. I can't rely on speed and speed alone to clear it. Hi-ho! Hi-ho. We are synced up like lovers in front of a fireplace. No. Yeah, we're not that. But anyway, we're synced up. You are the reality cam, you're the perception cam. You're the reality cam, you're the perception cam. You're the reality cam, you're the perception cam. So one thing important to know about the perception cam is that it's as close to my natural sight line as possible. If it were any closer, it would block my vision. So it's pretty close, and we're gonna see how reality and perception compare.
Yo guys, what is up? So I am back behind the computer right now, and I'm going to talk to you like we're best friends. If that's cool with you, it's cool with me. The only problem is only I can do the talking. Well, actually that's not true, because if you have comments, you can leave them in the comment section below. Really good stuff though. If you have anything bad to say, save that for your diary. Okay, let's do this. Coming down, dropping in, coming down. See, coming down is just as efficient to say, and I think it sounds cooler. Here we go, winding our way through this swervy, curvy stuff. It's kind of a slow approach. I'm gonna come up here and pause it out of the 90 degree. Here we go. We got the sync cam action going on like two lovers in front of a fireplace. Now remember, on the right is the reality cam, and on the left is the perception camera. Let's move it forward here until I'm in the shot of the reality cam. So let's talk about how perception and reality are wrong oftentimes. Now here's the deal. A lot of riders, they know the body movements that they need to do. They know they need to stand up. Now I have my thoughts on the idea of standing up to the jump, but I'll either save this for another video or I might briefly talk about them in this video. Regardless, what they do is they do everything right with their legs. They extend their legs, they drive with their back, and they extend their arms to stand up and off the jump. The problem is that they are often not doing it at the proper timing. And a big culprit behind that is their perception is different than their reality. For example, in this example, it looks as though my front wheel is getting ready to leave the transition right here, But if you look at it from the reality angle, my front wheel still has a good 2 feet to travel before it leaves the transition. More importantly, my bottom bracket has a long way to go before it leaves the transition, and even more importantly, my rear wheel has a hell of a long way to go before it leaves the transition. So what happens when riders stand up right here? So their legs are straight, their backs are straight, their arms are straight. What they've essentially done is they've removed all of the leverage that they can get from the remainder of this transition, because they feel as though they're getting ready to leave the transition from their perspective. So when you are fully extended at this point, and I see it all the time, you completely nullify the rest of this jump. You're basically going along for the ride, because all you can do from that point, okay, is... So really what you want to do, obviously, is you want to hold compression with your legs and extend as closely as possible to coming off of the transition and not extend going up the transition. Now, the beauty in holding your extension till the last minute, if you feel as though you don't need to do that, if you're coming in faster than you expected, you can quickly pause it and still hold with strong legs. Now, if we were right back here and our legs were strong and fully extended, we can't pause that. But here, whenever you wait till the last minute to extend, you give yourself a lot of opportunity to adjust how much you pop and how much input you put into, the final few feet of the transition. Because in reality, you want to press through your heels and you really want to think about pressing your back wheel through the transition up and off of it, okay? So now that we covered perception versus reality and how they can differ, I want to talk about the idea of standing up or extending in time with the jump. So I don't like the idea of standing up to the jump. I don't know what other YouTube tutorials do. I don't watch any of them, but I know of the concept of standing up to the jump. And the reason why I don't like that concept is because standing up is more of a posture that people kind of envision in their minds when they go off of jumps. I like the term extending into the jump because extending is more action oriented. You can be completely stood up at one point and you can't stand up anymore, but you can always continue to extend and drive. So I like the idea of extending into your arc rather than standing up into your arc. For example, here, if you look at me, you might say, Josh, you still got a long way to travel here, right? You have half a bike length to go and you're completely stood up. Like, how can you stand up anymore? Perhaps I could straighten my arms a little bit more out, but I gotta be honest with you, I'm completely stood up right here. The thing is, and my point is this, I am not completely extended right here. And this is why I like the idea of extending into your arc. So I continue to push into the rear wheel and drive it up the jump, but then I'm continuing to extend. See how my shoulders, now I'll move back and play this through more smoothly so you can follow, but see how my shoulders continue to drive forward and into the arc. Let's go back and I'll play it a little smoother for you. So here we go. I'm completely stood up, but not completely extended. See how I keep extending forward? Completely stood up, but continue to extend forward. And that ability to continue to extend forward is massive when you're trying to clear a jump. When you're completely stood up, you're frozen and you're stalled. But if you have the ability to continue to extend forward, you can really drive your body into that arc. So again, let's look at this in time with the jump. So I'm completely stood up, perhaps in most people's point of view, or by the definition of standing up, but I'm not done extending. So I'm still extending upward and forward. So see how my shoulders are driving the bike upward and forward? A lot of people would assume that I was completely stood up here and I could not go anywhere else. But when my thought process is not standing up, but extending into the arc, then you realize how much further you can go with that driving motion off of the transition and into the air with your shoulders, your upper body, and your body mass. Let's look at it again. So a lot of the extension process is in time with the jump, and it's a rowing motion with the bars. You really get up and over the bike and really drive it into the arc and into the landing. So here we go. I'm pressing into the lip. I'm extending upward and forward. Here's where I'm coming forward and really driving my bike through that arc to the landing. So this was just a quick talk between best friends. You can be completely stood up, but you don't have to be completely extended. So those are things you want to think about. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like free content, be sure to hit subscribe. If you have any comments, if you got any questions, leave them below. All that good stuff, you know what to do. Appreciate you riding with me today, and I'll see you next time. Peace.